If you're joining us this evening, it's likely because you or someone you know are interested in pursuing a future career in nursing or the healthcare field. You may have questions about the difference between an HCA, an LPN, and an RN, what those pathways to each of those careers look like, and what post-secondary programs might be a good fit for you. As I mentioned, we have representatives from Northwestern Polytechnic, Northern Lakes College, NorQuest College, Keyano College, and Portage College here tonight to hopefully give you some more insight into what is available and how you can prepare for the next steps in your education journey. So without further ado, I will pass the mic on to our first presenter, Nicole, and her team with Northwestern Polytechnic.
Good evening. My name is Nicole Kirschbaumer. I'm an instructor at Northwestern Polytechnic in the Bachelor of Science of Nursing program. So I'm here to speak briefly about this program, but first I'd like to share a video with you.
Northwestern Polytechnic is expanding our reach. In August 2022, the Department of Nursing moved into the Grande Prairie Regional Hospital. Within this impressive setting, you'll find 40,000 square feet of instructional, administration, and common space, including 8 classrooms, 4 nursing labs, 4 high-fidelity simulation rooms, debriefing rooms, quiet study room for students, and much more. Our classrooms and labs are equipped with the latest tools to support interactive learning and professional excellence. In every instance, NWP strives to promote critical thinking, cooperation, and a sense of community. We are committed to growing our footprint and maximizing connections as we deliver new and impactful career pathways. Supportive Care Assistant Program, Healthcare Aid Certificate, Practical Nurse Diploma, Collaborative Nursing Degree. Northwestern Polytechnic. Life-changing opportunities.
So I'm here just to talk briefly about the Bachelor of Science in Nursing program, also known as the RN program. Our program length is 4 years. It's a collaborative program done through the University of Alberta. It's important to note that all of our courses are completed at our Grande Prairie campus here. A little bit about tuition. You're looking at approximately $8,800 to $10,000 per year. And this does include your textbook. So that gives you an idea of the cost of the program. Our semesters are fall and winter semesters. They run from September to December, and then again from January to April, end of April. Our courses are generally 6 weeks or 14 weeks in length. There's no summer courses in this program. So if you are interested in applying, it's good to note that all high school applicants, they must have achieved an average of 65% in their high school courses. And it's these courses specifically. So English 30, biology 30, chemistry 30, science 30, mathematics, and they must have 1 elective, which are listed on our website. And they all have to have a grade higher than 60% in each of these courses with an average of 65. So applicants to this program are assessed on a first come, first served basis. We do encourage you to apply early. The applications are initiated through Apply Alberta. Registration for programs for new students begins May 1st of this year, and that closes August 14th. We plan to take approximately 120 students into this registered nursing program come fall 2024. I just want to mention that we do have 12 seats that are designated for Indigenous students. We offer clinical placements in rural locations, so we work with our collaborative sites, such as clinics and hospitals in High Prairie, Beaver Lodge, Valley View, and Sturgeon Lake, just to name a few. And it's just good to note that all immunizations, criminal record check, and CPR are required prior to beginning the program. So as Kate had mentioned, most of this information will be available to you through the links for everyone to explore. And we can also help answer some questions at the end of this event. So that's all for me. So thank you.
Okay, so I'm currently an instructor in the Practical Nurse Diploma program with NWP for the School of Health and Education, Department of Nursing, Education and Health Studies. The Practical Nursing program is a 2-year program. We offer it through on-campus delivery, and there are options through Grand Prairie at the Health Education Center, which is housed in the Grand Prairie Regional Hospital, or at Fairview campus. And the Grand Prairie campus has a winter semester entry, whereas Fairview has a fall entry. Admission requirements are high school diploma or equivalent and must meet certain criteria with the English, biology, and mathematics. So depending on which level of English or math, there is minimum requirement for percentage. And the application process is also through Apply Alberta, much like Nicole mentioned. So applicants are assessed on a first come, first qualified basis as per NWP policy. And for the NP program, 2 seats in the first year of the program are reserved for qualified applicants of Indigenous ancestry. And if those aren't filled prior to the initiation of the program, they will be opened up to the general applicant pool. So additional admission information, application fees are $80. They're non-refundable. All students admitted to the program must be capable of completing the responsibilities and activities as required for clinical practice. And within time frame of starting the program, they also need to complete a police information check with vulnerable sector clearance, applicable immunizations, standard first aid, and CPR basic life support. Tuition fees for the duration of the program, based on current costs, are approximately $18,000. This does not include parking or housing if students opt for on-campus housing. So the curriculum includes a variety of courses, including nursing theory, communication, clinical nursing skills, medication administration, anatomy, physiology, pathophysiology, and pharmacology, as well as practice, where we start introducing those clinical placements. And there's a total of 3 clinical placements plus a preceptorship in their second year. And career opportunities once completed, practical nurses are expanding throughout the healthcare system into more fields and realms. There's a variety of options in bedside nursing, community or clinic-based, and nursing informatics, and many more. And I'll be available to answer questions towards the end as well.
So my name is Brandy Krishik, and I am one of the healthcare unit instructors at NWP. So I'll quickly chat a little bit about it. So our healthcare aid program is a certificate program that is 8 months. We have a September intake for our Grand Prairie campus. We are also in the Health Education Center in the Grand Prairie Regional Hospital. We also have a Fairview campus with an intake that starts in January. We have 4 courses covered in the first semester. Our curriculum is governed by the Government of Alberta. There's 4 courses in that first semester, and then we do 2 weeks of clinical at one of our local long-term care facilities. So we do 80 hours in December before moving on to our second semester come January, where there's 2 courses. And then at the end of those 2 courses, we spend 4 weeks clinical with an instructor, and then the students get to do 2 weeks of preceptorship where they are partnered with a buddy. They get to go to either acute care. We have lots of different options. We now have some specialty units. So we have cancer clinic, we have students going to ICU, we have students going to emergencies. So just getting a lot of variety when it comes to different fields that healthcare aides can now work in. We also, in that second semester, the students get to learn some of their advanced skills. So we cover simple wound dressings, oxygen therapy, vitals. What else is there? Tuition is about $8,500. The admission requirements is English 20-1 with 60%, a minimum of 60%, and then English 30-1 with 55. Or an English proficiency. Also same requirements when it comes to clinical. You'll need to provide your immunizations, have CPR, a police information check. So the same as the PN and the SEN programs. It is nice too for the healthcare aid students that we are in the same area as the PN students. So we have also get to use access or have access to the mannequins that the BSA and students use and the PN students. Same with the simulation room. So we're all together, which is really nice. I think that's it.
My name is Emily Ibrahimi. I'm a fourth year nursing student and Bachelor of Science in nursing. And Nicole is one of my instructors. I am currently in high level right now. I'm finishing up my preceptorship. This is my final one. I'm in the ER. The program it's been great. The instructors have been great. The classes are smaller, so it's very personal. Even our placements have been like the hospitals and the staff and everything. Everyone's been very friendly, accommodating, helpful. I cannot say enough about this program at NWP. It's been great so far.
Thank you, Emily. You mentioned you're in high level. Is that where you're from, or?
No, I'm actually from Vancouver.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, but rural nursing has definitely grown on me.
So you're in the hospital in high level?
Yeah. Yes.
Get to experience quite a broad range of different skills.
Different skills, different people, different communities. We serve a lot of the surrounding communities. So there's a lot of reserves. There is a lot of smaller cities or towns per se. So it's been very interesting and great learning experience.
Thank you so much for sharing, and good luck. You're at the tail end of your education, so good luck in your future. Thank you again.
Thank you.
There was just one question in the Q&A. The question was, do any of the courses in the PN program count towards the registered nurse program if a student decides they want to continue on with their education?
I can speak to that. I see the question there as well. So as of right now, there are no courses that will transfer over into the registered nursing program. So these courses that are taken in the PN program are very similar to the courses in the RN program, although at our institution, none of them will transfer over at this time.
Thank you again, Northwestern Polytechnic. And I will pass the mic over to Courtney and Janine. Not sure who wants to go first, so I'll just pass it over to both of you guys with NorQuest College.
Hello, everybody. My name is Courtney McElary, and I am the manager for work integrated learning with the Faculty of Health at NorQuest College. So I oversee the team that places everyone in their clinical placements, which is a very exciting thing for students. They always get really excited when they want to go to clinical and when they learn where they're going, as I'm sure Emily will say. She was probably waiting to find out where she was going, and was very happy, I'm sure, when she got her placement. I also have Janine Dolan here, which I can let her introduce herself first, and then we'll go into our presentation.
Thanks, Courtney. So my name is Janine Dolan. I'm the Associate Chair for the Wetaskiwin and Deliveries with the Practical Nurse Program with the Faculty of Health Sciences. So happy to be here tonight and talk about some rural nursing and our rural deliveries.
All right, so I do have a slideshow, and again, I'm going to try sharing, and I'm going to hope that I'm sharing the right screen. All right. So NorQuest College has a main campus downtown, and then we also have a Wetaskiwin campus, which is a little bit of a smaller campus. And I'm going to let Janine speak a little bit more about that one. And we also have something very excited that we've just introduced this year, which is our new mobile lab. And our mobile lab is like a big ATCO trailer that right now is goes to Castor, Alberta. And we bring the lab to the students. So all of the students that are in Castor right now are doing the healthcare aid program. I believe, Janine, there's 8 students right now, and they are their lab comes to them. So all of their skills get done right in their hometown. Their clinicals get done in their hometown or just in the surrounding area. And so that's really, really exciting. And we're always looking for new communities to partner with to do that. So if anybody knows anybody, give me a call. The PN program is one of our biggest healthcare programs at the college. I was actually a practical nurse as well, and I took my program through NorQuest College, so I have lots of great things to say. The prerequisites for this program are language arts, as you can see on the screen here, level 30-1, 30-2, the percentage is 60 and 70. The English 1860 and 1898 also are with the college, but those are for our English as a second language. The mathematics, it can be met with any of the following, so 20-1, 20-2, 30-1, 30-2. We also have Math 1524, which is like a PN prep to like a PN math prep course. So that can help and be an equivalent. And then you also need biology, and that can be met by your Bio 30. NorQuest College also has a lot of academic upgrading. So what a lot of our students will do is they will do a lot of their upgrading with the college, which will then transfer over into the nursing program. So that's one of the nice things we have. We have theory, lab, and clinical. All of our clinicals are done in person. The first 3 clinicals, your long-term care, acute care, medicine, and surgery, are all done in person in a group setting. We typically are in Edmonton and surrounding areas. So Edmonton, Leduc, Fort Saskatchewan, St. Albert, like the West End, North End, those kinds of things. We are looking at expanding a little bit further. We also do go to Camrose and Wetaskiwin, but we do reserve those clinicals for the students that are at our Wetaskiwin placement or Wetaskiwin campus, because most of the students that are there tend to live closer to there. Your final clinicals, your preceptorship, and you follow a nurse and you an LPN, and you can go anywhere. You can ask us and we can try our best to get you a placement. So we go, you know, some of our students go in Manitoba, some of them go, you know, anywhere around Alberta, rural locations. We're really trying to promote the rural nursing. One of our programs, the Practical Nurse for Internationally Educated Nurses, they do specifically go very much rural because that's part of their requirements. We have in-person classes, days, evenings, and weekends. We also have online classes. Some of the lab or all of the labs are supposed to be done in person. But we do offer our online courses in 2 different modalities. So we do online real time, which you follow a schedule, you have a live lecture, it's online like this. And then you also have an online anytime where students can just take the program and take the courses. There's a start and end date, but you don't have any live lectures or anything like that. You do it at your own pace within the certain amount of time that you have for your course. A lot of our students really enjoy the flexibility of that delivery. If you do your coursing online, though, it does take you a little bit longer to graduate from the program. Typically, it's about 3 years instead of the 2 that it would normally take you if you go full time. We have intakes in fall and winter for the full-time programs. We also have intakes in the spring. So our terms run from September to December for fall, January to April for winter, and then May and June are our spring. And we do run clinicals over the summer, but typically that's our final preceptorship, runs in July and August. Let me see. Oh, I want to say one more thing first. It is a first come, first serve entrance into our program, and it's through Apply Alberta as well. The total cost for the PN program full time is about $19,000 all in for your whole 5 terms. And then I'll talk about the HCA program when I get there. But also the other thing is that we do as well reserve a certain amount of seats for Indigenous students at each of our deliveries. So full time there's 31, 7 for PN online, and 7 at the PN hybrid, which is that evening, weekend, online sort of delivery. Our program does transfer to these different universities. There's lots of opportunity with the NorQuest PN program. I actually did transfer my PN program to the Bachelor of Nursing at Athabasca University and finished it in 2018. And so they do give you some credit for that, which is nice. And as you can see, it's not all nursing for transferability, which is a little bit different, I think, and can be kind of nice if it's something that you want to sort of pursue with your career. There's further education opportunities with NorQuest College as well. So students who complete the practical nursing program and are actively registered with the CLPNA can also take our addictions recovery practitioner, advanced education for orthopedics for LPNs, our healthcare leadership program, and our mental health recovery practitioner. So those are all post-diploma programs. We also have advanced foot care. So for those of you that might want to take that, we also offer that as a program as well. So you can find all that information on our website. The healthcare aid program is another big program we have. The academic requirements to get in our English language arts and 20-2 or 30-2, or you can do an academic assessment, and you can do that with the PN program as well and get PLAR, so previous learning assessment, done, so that you can see if you have anything that might, write off something within our program. And if a student, I want to go back, I'm sorry. If a student takes the healthcare aid program with, you can challenge or have an assessment done for 2 of the courses that will transfer into your practical nursing program, which would be, Janine can correct me if I'm wrong, it would be HEED and NCOM, I believe, are the 2 courses that you can challenge. And then you won't have to take them in your first year of PN.
Right. So anyone who's completed an HCA program after 2019 will get automatic credit awarded for NCOM, and then you can challenge the HEED course. So so that's a great opportunity for students that are looking for some transferability.
Yeah. And it does decrease that really heavy workload you have in that first term. So we also have the healthcare aid workplace education program. And so what that is all the program admission requirements that you have for healthcare aid program must be met, as well as you have to be currently employed as a frontline caregiver with similar healthcare aid responsibilities with a participating agency. So if, let's say, you're working for somewhere that you want to get your HCA, you can reach out to the college, and there is on the website, there is an email, and I can give that to Kate later on as well to hand out, that you can ask for this possibility. And so the only other things is you need a workplace tutor, employment confirmation form, and that's for consideration into the HCA workplace program. And basically what that does is you take the coursing, but you do your clinical it's while you're working. So it kind of gives you that ability. That's really been popular with our rural students because it allows them to stay where they live and not have to come to Edmonton for anything. And that's really been exciting in the last year. So the healthcare aid program has different delivery types. We have in person at the Edmonton campus. They run Monday to Fridays, online with in-person labs. It's important to understand that all of our labs are in person because that is one piece. It's really, really hard to do things online, as I'm sure we all learned during COVID. We have the Edmonton evening cohorts, and then there is the healthcare aides also are in Wetaskiwin. So the pictures in the bottom of this are our mobile lab. So as you can see, there's beds, there's storage, there's working sinks. It's amazing. Honestly, it's one of the most exciting things that we've done, I think, in the last little while. So the students have just been very excited to have everything in their hometown. So laddering opportunities. So here it is right here. So this is where the students from the provincial healthcare aid program or equivalent with at least 500 hours of volunteer or paid work in the healthcare field can request this prior learning assessment and recognition for HEED and NCOM. So that is my portion of the presentation. I would just like to say this is one of our NorQuest graduates. He actually works for me now. So a lot of our students end up coming full circle and working for us when they're done. He's one of our placement coordinators for the healthcare aid program. So I am going to pass this over to Janine, who has more to talk about the rural pieces.
Thanks so much, Courtney. I won't take too much time, but my background before I came into education was actually a rural community nurse. There's a lot of real benefits to working rurally that I found, have been something that I can bring forward into now working in a rural campus. So some of the things that brought me to rural nursing for over a decade and why I stayed in it, I really enjoyed living and working in the community in which I lived in. I valued close relationships with my clients and with the team members in which I worked with. There's really great opportunities to have challenging, diverse clinical experiences. I think often rural gets a bad rap saying you're not going to have the same clinical opportunities that you would if you're working in an urban center. That's not how I would relay my experiences and other people's experiences that have worked. So, whether you're in an acute care setting in a rural community or you're at work in the community, you're going to see a real diverse group of clients and have lots of different opportunities to explore and expand your nursing practice. It's a great way to work as an educator and an advocator for change. And it's an opportunity to essentially really work with the communities you live in and to bring that. Other good things is that there is right now a lot of really great opportunities for those that complete their education in nursing or medicine to have loan forgiveness through the government of Canada. And that's something that I like to share with students that are interested in coming out to our rural campus and trying to encourage them to stay within the communities that they live or that they've completed their work experience with after they've done the program, because it's really, really significant how much you can actually receive in funding and loan forgiveness for that. So that's a great opportunity to share as well too. So I'm just going to share a quick video about our rural campus just to share a little bit more as to why I think it's a great place to be and come visit us, come apply, because the downtown campus gets a lot of intake for the practical nurse program and tends to get waitlisted. We're not sitting at the same place with waitlists, so we often do have spots and seats available, and I'll just share this video really closely.
I was born and raised here, so I've been here for 18 years.
What's your favorite restaurant to get food from?
Huckleberries. It's a local restaurant, actually. They make all of their own food.
Do you have pie?
Yes, they do. They have huckleberry pie. And they have dill pickle soup. They make the best dill pickle soup. It's technically city, but has a small town feel. In Wetaskiwin, it's a small community, one-on-one classes with my professors, so it's really nice to have that time. And my teachers are amazing. It's really nice to have teachers who are this dedicated to their students.
I chose this campus because I live just in Leduc. It's a short 25-minute drive for me, just down Highway 2A. To me, it was just really location. I like that this campus had free parking right outside across the street there.
It's great.
The Wetaskiwin campus is definitely a great option for students that are looking to maybe get in a little bit sooner.
Most of them drive from Edmonton, come here, because Wetaskiwin is nice, but not a lot of people know that it's here. And there's not a big wait list here.
Because I know these seats don't fill up as fast as the ones downtown. So far, it's been great, and I'd recommend kind of anyone who's looking or maybe lives kind of my situation in Leduc or surrounding areas to apply for sure. We offer the Practical Nursing Diploma, Healthcare Aid Certificate, and then I know we offer GED upgrading program for some of the reserves around in the area so that Indigenous students have access to high school education and can complete courses and bridge on to post-secondary programs as well. We have an Indigenous cultural support member as well that sits out here, and she provides a little bit of oversight to the students, especially through personal issues as well. She's available for smudging on different ceremonies that students are willing to do, and as well as she's just someone to talk to. If you need to go sit up in her office, she's such an amazing elder and with so much knowledge to share. So I chose NorQuest because it had had a good reputation. I've worked in healthcare, and I've met a lot of LPNs that graduated from NorQuest, and they all really seem to have that sense of achievement and that sense of strength about them that I wanted to have as well.
Come here, it's really nice here. Like, I know everybody in my practical nursing program. Like, I know Mitchell over there. See, hi Mitch. Christy, I say hi to her every morning when I walk in, and she always remembers me.
You'll enjoy the town. It's quite quaint. There's lots of little coffee shops around here as well. And the connections you'll make in the community that you will be involved in, and the differences that you will make throughout your time here.
It's so nice to just know everybody and have the feeling of a family in a small town, in a small campus. And I don't know, it's just kind of like my support system, I guess.
So we have, as noted in the video, some great programs that we're offering out of the Wetaskiwin campus. The reason I love the video is it really does highlight how we bring that rural feel of small campus, small community. In-person learning is very student-centered, and we definitely want, whether you're in the TEP program that we're currently offering for transitions for employment, we have the academic upgrading program, or HCA or PN. Regardless of the student on site, we want you to know that we know who you are, you feel you're welcomed here, and we want to create safe places for our students to learn. So right now we're offering through, because my background is PN, unfortunately, is I won't be able to give full in-depth about the HCA program. But we're offering online real-time and in-person full-time deliveries. Our intakes happen in the fall once a year, and I intake 32 in my hybrid delivery, and I intake 34 students in my face-to-face. And the program starts in 2024, and again, students are finished as of 2025 in that 18 months. So some of the courses we'll be offering next year will have high flex opportunities, meaning that instructors will be teaching both in person and online simultaneously. So that offers some more flexibility to our students that find the transportation or the travel components a little bit challenging for the lectures. Labs and clinicals, of course, are always in person and requirements. But yeah, that's our campus and that's our program. And we'd love to have you come join us. So thank you.
So we're going to keep rolling here. I'm just being cognizant of time. So I'm going to pass the mic over to Anne Noseworthy, who's with Northern Lakes College.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today to highlight our programs. So my name is Anne Noseworthy, and I am the chair for the Practical Nurse and Healthcare Aid programs at Northern Lakes College. It is indeed my pleasure to speak to you tonight. Northern Lakes College is a little bit diverse. We actually deliver our practical nurse program from 5 different campuses. We have 32 campuses in all. We cover quite a vast geographical location throughout the north of Alberta, and we hold a bigger area than all of the Atlantic provinces combined. So we are you know, we love the north, and we bring as much education there as we can. Our goal, of course, is to provide health education and to graduate safe, competent professionals. And our vision is to be one of the first choice online healthcare education providers to meet the need. So first, I'll chat about Practical Nurse. This is our yearly vision. This is our reward. This is what these students work so hard for. The culmination of 2 years of very hard work. And this is our graduating class from 2022. We usually graduate anywhere from 70 to 80 students a year. So it's a very moving experience to be a part of it. The Practical Nurse program is delivered from High Level, Peace River, High Prairie, Slave Lake, and Lloydminster. And Lloydminster, no, it is not a part of the North, but we do hold a partnership with Lakeland College. And we've been delivering the Practical Nurse program from that college for the last 6 years, and taking in 32 students at that location. We do offer our program both full-time and part-time. It is a first come, first qualified, of course. Right now, currently, we have 125 first-year students and 77 second-year. And within that 125, there is 24 who are part-time. And those part-time students do the program over a 3-year period rather than a 2. Because sometimes the demands of life, as you know, can only allow for so much time. And it actually, for those students who pay independently for their education, the 3 years is also an option. The Practical Nurse program is delivered through supported distance learning. And when I say that, as you know, all of our lab and all of our clinical components are a face-to-face. When I say supported distance, that means all of our theory is delivered via distance in a live synchronous classroom environment. These students can do their classes right from their own home. If they're working, then each class is recorded, and they have access to those classes at any point in time throughout their course. Many students find having the access to those recordings a great study tool. Students get to pursue their education from their selected communities, and it's a great benefit. Students also know that because we are diverse across the North and Alberta, that there is travel requirements to nursing labs or to clinical, whatever, wherever they are located. Academic requirements, again, Bio 30 or credit and AMPY. English 30, and our grades are there, and math, of course, is a component as well. So these are all listed on our website. Everything is laid out per program, per year. So it's easily accessible to anybody who wants to explore. And I also gave Kate that information that she will share with you as well. The design for Northern Lakes includes theory and clinical learning experience lab. And we start from basic to complex, known to unknown, and focus on individual in the context of families and groups. The program is designed according to the competencies, according to faculty belief. Between us, our nursing faculty, we have about 360 years of nursing experience. The content, of course, is designed for the practical nurse basic competencies to meet their graduation and the unit outcomes that guide the students. Here is a little overview of how we do the courses across four semesters. The second semester, of course, being longer. We do start in September to December, and we start in January, and we usually finish in May, because in that spring component, we do clinicals. So you'll see a little bit of a difference there, but that shortens the time, gives the students that broader time to learn. Here is a breakdown of our year one fees. Again, totally accessible online for anybody who wishes to go. So a total for year one for full-time, $65.80. And again, for year two at $63.57. And this includes their tuition, their learner resource fees. Learner resource fees, of course, include all their lab equipment, their uniforms, everything like that is included there. The only thing is the student is given a textbook list, and they have to buy their own textbooks. Successes, 72 graduated in 2022 with 100% pass in the CPR&E. 67 to graduate this year in 2023 with a 97% pass. And the reason I gloat, because the reason we're 97 is we had 3 of our students who were internationally trained nurses who decided to forego their LPN exam to do the RN, the NCLEX. So 96 of our employers would hire our NLC graduates any day, and I see them I've been with this program 18 years. I've graduated hundreds. And as I walk the floors of these hospitals, I do so with pride, because I see so many amazing nurses. We have excellent collaboration with our community partners, with our healthcare teams, our unit managers, and we are diverse. We send students from La Crete to Grimshaw, to Vermilion, to Saskatchewan, you name it. We will send our students where they need to be. We do have some flexible laboratory options. So normally there's lab days every week, but because of request, we've actually changed our lab component at our High Prairie campus to do 1 week a month. So those students who are living in diverse areas, who don't want to be leaving and traveling for lab every week, they actually only travel once a month, and they stay in that central location. We have a beautiful facility in High Prairie, net zero building, a beautiful 8-bed lab with a simulation area, and it's stellar, and students just love that. So that is an option that many people who work, many, as you know, Today, polls show us that 45 to 60% of our students are working as they go to school. So having that flexible option is a great trump card. Challenges for Northern Lakes College is sometimes staffing. For example, plugging out there for nurses who might be out there. I have a 0.5 vacant position for an instructor in high level, and it's really hard to fill. So our aim is actually to increase enrollment and move that to a full-time position, but that takes time. New Connect Care training has been a challenge for lots of people across all educational sectors and all PSIs who are delivering healthcare programs, because as that is introduced, training is required, instructors are required to train, and so that is sometimes a little time consuming. And a struggle with what we live with every day with our students that we try to accommodate is the struggle of working full-time and going to school full-time and managing life, and that is hard. We have excellent student success group working with our college. We have great library services. We have online writing tutors. We have counseling service. Anything that we can do to promote the success of these students is what we do at Northern Lakes. We as well have just started an incentive in September to do a post-LPN Bachelor of Nursing in collaboration with Athabasca University. This is a trial start, 3-year incentive, taking 20 students a year, and my PowerPoint can be shared, Kate, and all the links are here. And I've also shared a Q&A with Kate as well, if you guys wish to review that for questions. How will this work? These students have to meet a specific GPA, of course, 3.0 to get into this program. But the nice thing about it is they're our NLC grads. And our goal here is to pave the way, to open that pathway. There's such a need in the North for all nurses, LPNs, RNs, and nurse and healthcare aides. There's a need. And so we're trying to help fulfill that need. And this is started. We have 16 students and they're progressing through. And it'll take 4 years. And there was a question earlier about if the LPN accounts for anything with the LPN graduate diploma does count here. It counts for like 30 credits, because within our program alone, we do 6 university studies courses that are transferable to any college if you maintain a certain grade, of course. We also have the sciences, which are transferable. So that does take up a good chunk when you're talking about that. So this is an option. We have a coordinator at NLC who is a go-to for all those NLC students. These students will stay in their own cohort. They will graduate in their own cohort. One thing that's a little different, if you want to look at the difference in, well, maybe I can just go to Athabasca and do this, is that we want to keep this cohorts together. We want to graduate them together, and we are going to guarantee as a college, Northern Lakes will guarantee placement for their clinicals. We can't, but we will try to facilitate that where possible. So this is just an option. It's new, and I'm sure it'll have growing pains, but it's a step forward for rural nursing in Northern Alberta, and that's for sure. Any questions for me, please put them forward. I'll be happy to answer. I just want to go now to our wonderful healthcare aid program. I'm just going to add that Northern Lakes College has been delivering nursing programs since 1974. We started out as Lesser Slave Lake Vocational and the CNA program, and we've been working on improving that for years. And I have seen firsthand the growth of the roles of the PN and the healthcare aid, and how our programs have changed and adapted to include and be inclusive of all the different skills. So we are working to do the best we can for our students. Healthcare aid offered full-time, which of course is an 8-9 month intake. It is also offered by what we call E-STEP. I heard Courtney call it workplace. And this is employee student tutored education program. And these are students who are in the workplace, without the certificate, but have vast experience as healthcare aides. They can do this program over a year asynchronously on their own with a tutor in their workplace and guidance from an instructor. We have an instructors specifically for these E-STEP students. So, and they have their own learning management system. We use Brightspace that they can tap into. We do online reviews every month with these students. We also pay for their first attempt at their practice exam once they complete the program to try to ensure their success. We do offer this program as well through dual credit. And dual credit is, again, relationships with our school divisions. Fort Vermilion has been a great asset to us. We've done dual credit there for many years. We do dual credit with Peace River School Division. Just right now, we are in talks with High Prairie School Division to actually deliver this dual credit program over 2 years to make it easier for these young students who are in high school and want to be able to work towards a career in healthcare. And it's a great stepping stone. So, you know, if you have a child in school and they are interested in this, please reach out. And if we can help answer those questions for you, we certainly will. We are also one of the PSIs who facilitate the workplace program incentive in collaboration with AHS. As you know, AHS currently has a bursary for the workplace program, and it is open currently for, again, those healthcare aides who are in the community who don't have the certification, and they can get help through a bursary program with AHS. And it's this incentive is delivered by Northern Lakes or by NorQuest. NorQuest are the custodians of the bursary, but it is delivered through us as two PSIs. The healthcare aid program is delivered online and is supported distance learning and face-to-face lab and clinical components. Students have, again, 24/7 access to their lectures, course materials, discussion forums, and all their learning tools. To entrance requirements here, English 20, Math 20. If there is an issue with academics, if they feel they are not met, the student can complete what we call an AccuPlacer assessment to see where they sit with their English and language comprehension. And if English is a second language, then there is a English language proficiency that has to be completed as well. And so the student would independently complete this and deliver and submit their results to the PSI, to the post-secondary institution, as in us. So offerings, again, full-time from September to June are E-STEP. We do 5 intakes a year. We do October, December, February, April, and June. And this is just a recap of what I just talked about. One little thing about this set is a little different about us as well, is we look at where the cluster of students sit. So if I have most of my students from the Peace River area, then we will deliver our lab from our Peace River campus. If they're in Slave Lake, we will deliver a lab from the Slave Lake campus. So we try to meet the needs of the students and make the less travel as we can for them. And this is just a little bit of information about the healthcare, the AHS bursary, how we're enrolled in that, and it was closed for a while, but it is open right now. So, and it is on a return for service agreement with your employer. So here is a link to that as well, and for your guys' benefit, if you want to do a little bit of investigation there. Cost of our HCA program, this is overall $5,004 actually for the entire program over the 8 months. And to note that if this is an E-STEP student who is, they do not pay, they pay half the tuition. And that is the difference there between the full-time and the E-STEP. So these E-STEP students, if you're really smart, it really could be a good bridge, a good stepping stone into a good health career. So again, I've just shown you here how we break that down to a 2502 That's a pretty cheap education, if you ask me. Again, successes and challenges. One of the challenges, what we've seen a decrease full-time and a big increase in the E-STEP or the workplace program students. Like we have 80 to 90 at any point in time throughout the year across the north again. And right now we have 27 full-time students. So minimally no problems. Content is delivered, theory is delivered online, and exams are remotely proctored. And we meet the program stipulations of the healthcare aid programs across the province. And yeah, it's been a very successful program for Northern Lakes College. So links to your future. Our goal is start here, go anywhere. And we are here to answer your questions. And, this is our link to our PN program, link to an email directly for our coordinator who can facilitate any of your questions with regards to entrance. Again, the healthcare aid program, our coordinator and her email, and our digital information. This is a link to a view book that shows all of the educational opportunities offered at Northern Lakes College. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Anne. That was a ton of information. And like Anne said, she's supplied me with all these links and all this information, including that view book. And I will include that in my package that I share out to participants. Thanks again, Anne. It looks like there was a quick question in the chat. So Jenna asked, is the dual credit program offered at Fort Vermilion School Division only for healthcare aid or for LPN as well? If it is just healthcare aid, are the courses transferable to LPN if they decide to continue?
Great question, Jenna. Yeah, there is a portion of the PN that can be done through dual credit, and that is with some of the university studies courses. So later in grade 11, after they finish their English 20, a lot of the students harness the opportunity to do their psych and their soc and their communications and their HEED, and they can do those courses prior to even graduating, and that makes it easy to come into the PN program and take on that large challenge. So yeah, that is an option to do those courses prior to entry. Yes.
Wonderful. That'd be a very busy grade 10, grade 11, grade 12 student, but power to you.
It's amazing to see how the school divisions actually work to facilitate that for the students. Right?
Yeah, so. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thanks again, Anne. It was wonderful to hear your presentation. So we're going to keep trucking along, and I'm going to introduce you to Andrea, and Andrea is with Portage College.
All right, so I'm Andrea Sauls. I am the program coordinator. I'm new to this role with Portage College. Oh, maybe it's not gonna work. Oh, there. All right, so again, I'm Andrea. I am a rurally educated LPN. I graduated from Northern Lakes College way back in 2002. And I've been working rurally my entire career. So I started in long-term care in a private long-term care site, and I moved on to a busy emergency department here in Cold Lake, which was a huge learning curve for myself. I worked there for quite a few years, and then I moved on to managing a long-term care site. And then this instructor position came up at Portage, and that's where I still am today. I do still work rurally in our ER in my off time, which we all have plenty of, I'm sure. And I love the way that it keeps up our skills, and it's fast-paced. We have so much opportunity in our ER here. So there's just a couple of pictures of our students. Some of these are in clinical with the viewfinder, that top picture where they've got the light on her arm. Our lab, they're doing wound packing there and IV meds, and a game that one of our instructors created for them. So where are our campuses located? Portage College has 3 campuses, one in Cold Lake, that is my primary site. We have an intake of 32 students every year. We have a campus in St. Paul with an intake of 18 students per year. There is housing available at the St. Paul campus as well. And then Lac La Biche, they have an intake of 16 students per year, and housing is also available at that campus. Whoopsies, wrong way, Andrea. Oh, goodness. So, yeah, that's right. With our course delivery, we've got some interesting delivery methods happening right now. And most of our first year courses are delivered online. Some high flex, so it's the instructor's there with you, they're in the class with some students, and you could be at home with others. But there are some face-to-face labs during that time. So it's usually with that 148 course, which we'll go over here soon. It's generally just 1 or 2 lab days for that first semester. And then everything else is UT courses. The second semester, we do have our foundational or skills courses that are delivered face-to-face with on-site labs weekly or twice a week, just depending on which course it is. Second year is a mix of online and face-to-face instruction across all campuses. So it really just depends on the course. If it's a skills course and there's a lab attached, it is delivered face-to-face. As well as in the second semester, we have our long-term care clinical where our students go out. It is an instructor-led clinical, and they go out into a long-term care site in our local area, depending on which campus they're at, of course. And they go out with a group of 8 students and 1 instructor, and it's 194 hours that they complete in 5 weeks. And then in our second year, there are actually 3 clinicals, 2 of them being instructor-led clinicals, where it's a group of 6, generally 6 students, 1 instructor on acute care for 2, 1 in December, and then 1 in March. And then the third clinical, or it's actually a preceptorship, where the students go out one-on-one with a nurse. They get to 3 choices they get to provide us, with 3 choices for their preference as to where they'd like to be placed within the province, and sometimes in Lloyd, depending on the availability. And that's a 271-hour clinical where the students are one-on-one with a nurse. So admission requirements. So high school diploma is recommended, or there needs to be an equivalency. They need Bio 30 with a minimum of 60%, English 30-2 with a minimum of 70, Math 20-2, minimum of 60. Chem 30 is strongly recommended. And if you don't meet those admission requirements, we do encourage students to go into open studies so they can get credit for some of the university transfer courses that are built within our program. If they do them early, they can get credit and they work as admission requirements at times. So, and we also offer all these courses if you choose to upgrade. Some other requirements are you must be 18 years of age prior to the first placement. So the first placement does start in it's at the end of the first year. So they go out in April for 5 weeks. So as long as you are 18 prior to that, we have had many students that the last one I think was February where they turned 18. So they spent their entire part of their first year as 17-year-olds. So you also have to have a current CPR must be heart and stroke for healthcare providers. We are offering that within our program now. We have some trained instructors that provide that for you. We generally do it in August before intake or before orientation, and that is provided at no charge to the student. As well as mask fit testing, we take that cost so that everybody gets done. We do need to see current immunization records. A health status questionnaire needs to be filled out by your practitioner. And then a police information check with vulnerable sector search must be completed within 90 days of the program start date. And if you are an English as a second language student, you must complete the English language proficiency exam. So the courses that are offered in what year? So year 1, you can see, and year 2, you can see all those lists of courses there. Now, anything that is in gray, highlighted, those are transferable courses to, I believe, MacEwan, and Athabasca University. So that is valuable information to know if you are looking for further education post-graduating. So our start dates, you can see semester 1 and semester 3, they start August and go to December, and there is that clinical in there. And then semester 2 is January to May, and semester 4 is January to beginning of June. And that it's a little bit extended on that semester 4 because of your final preceptorship. So where do our grads work? Our grads work in a variety of settings. Now with the expansion over the last couple of years of the LPN scope of practice, our grads are very comfortable working in many different settings. So we have grads working in our local emergency departments, and it's really interesting when I go to when I do pick up a shift, I'm often working side by side with many of my grads that I've taught over the last 10 years. Even when we go to clinical a lot in acute care, we're working a lot with our grads on the floor in our local hospitals here. So they work acute care, ambulatory care, infusion clinics. Some have gone on to get to work in specialties like renal dialysis. We have 2 sites that we use. So St. Paul Hospital and Lac La Biche Hospital both have dialysis. So we do have students that are working in there. And then long-term care nurse or going into management, really the options are pretty endless right now. I know some students that are working not rurally, but working in bigger centers as well in some pretty high acuity sites. So the CPNRE, which is the Canadian Practical Nurse Registration Exam, which everybody graduating from a practical nurse program has to write that across Canada. And this is just our pass rates over the last 3 years. So you can see the PC pass rate in 2021 was 93, 2022 100%, and 23 100%. In each of these years, we are above the national average. And we've had a varying amount of students writing the exam. So we have a very good success rate. We had 1 year back there a while ago that we weren't doing so well, but it's good now. So the other really cool thing about Portage is we did just start 2 years ago a partnership with the University of Calgary. So they're offering a post-diploma to a Bachelor of Nursing. They offer it in 2 years. It's offered at the Cold Lake campus and the St. Paul campus. So it's kind of alternating years of intake. This just past the 2023 September, the intake was in St. Paul. So hopefully that will come back to our campus here in Cold Lake 2024. Their structure is a little bit different. They have online lectures, in-class labs. So they utilize our labs here, whether it be in St. Paul or Cold Lake. And then they have local clinicals as well. So their students stay to the lake, we call it the Lakeland area here. So they stay to the Lakeland area for the most part, and they're able to get all of their required experiences within all of our hospitals. So that's super, super interesting. The nice thing about the U of C program is with Athabasca University, you typically have to have so many practice hours, I can't remember the exact number, post graduation. So you have to work for, it used to be 1,700 hours. I can't quite remember what it is anymore. But with the University of Calgary, you can transfer pretty well right into it. So they also give priority to students that have graduated from Portage College PN and to students that live in the north in our Lakeland area. So it's a really cool program if continuing education, if higher education is what you're looking for. So yeah, that's a really cool one. Check out the U of C's website if you're ever interested in that. So how to apply? We have 2 open houses per year, November and March. We do receive applications during that time, and the application fee is waived. The March one is actually tomorrow. So if you're in our local area and you're interested, come on down. And you can always apply online through Portage College. Now, I'm not sure about Apply Alberta. I think we can through there, but don't quote me on that. And that's it. for my presentation. If you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you so much, Andrea. I imagine with such small cohorts that those nurses become very, very close and work very closely together.
It's a really interesting. Actually, we had a student come all the way from Lethbridge a couple of years ago, and we do have students come from quite a distance. And I asked her, I said, why are you coming this far when there's 100 programs in between Cold Lake and Lethbridge? And she said it's because of the small class sizes and the time that the students get to spend with the instructor. And our students always have such great rapport with each other, and such strong bonds are formed between each student. So because there is such small class sizes.
Thanks again. And Andrea's got her contact information up on the screen for anybody who's looking for more information. I'm hoping that means that, feel free to reach out.
Absolutely.
Lindsay, let me know if there's any questions specific for Andrea. And if not, we will move on to our final presenter. Last but certainly not least is Sharon, and Sharon is with Keyano College.
I'm just going to give you a brief introduction about me, and then I'm going to let my two students speak. So I have Charity Wiley and Morgan Sinclair that are going to speak to the BSN program. Excuse me. Both of them have actually done other education at Keyano and have come back to take the BSN program. They're both in second year. So I'm the interim chair. I've been at Keyano for 13 years. I was HCA coordinator for 7 years and lab coordinator for 1. And then I was PN coordinator for about 3 months before our chair went off on a leave. So now I'm interim chair. And I have a vast experience of my own education, but I'm going to let the students speak first because I think more important to hear from them and their experience. And if we have time, then I can share more about mine and more about our programs at Keyano. So if we can let Charity speak first, and then she'll pass it on to Morgan.
I'm really excited to share my opportunity that I have had with being a Northern student, a Northern resident. I am from Fort McMurray, Alberta, where Keyano College is located. I previously completed the PCP program with Keyano and decided to further my education. So I am in my second year of Bachelor of Science in Nursing. To mirror the other students' comments, I do not have enough good things to say about the college. The program is incredible. The resources are incredible. The class sizes obviously are a bonus. I don't necessarily consider them like super small. I'm sure compared to bigger universities, they are very small, but I feel that they're like very appropriate for learning environments. Our hospital has been amazing. We just finished our first med surg rotation, and I myself was on the medicine unit, and I found it such an amazing experience. I think sometimes when we say rural, we think really small, but I think when you live, work, and sort of reside in rural, you don't really think there's a lot of small things about it. No, I don't necessarily, even being from Fort McMurray, I think that there's huge opportunities. So it's very exciting when people are interested in rural programming, because for me, like, this is my home and I'm very passionate about living and working in the North. I am a recipient of a Northern bursary as well, a return of service bursary. So basically, in combination between the Northern Alberta Advisory Council, Development Council, and AHS, I've received a bursary to stay or to go to school in the North as a return of service to stay after I'm done, which has almost paid for my first and second year of schooling, which has been tremendous. So I think there's lots of opportunities financially. If you wanted to stay and work in the North, there is a ton of opportunity and experience that you can have as a student. And some of the resources that Keyano provides are incredible. So we use an Elsevier platform, which is an online database of all textbooks, all resources, all the information that you could possibly have. And I would personally say that the thought of this at the start of the my first year was terrifying, but now I can confidently say that it is the best thing that we could have had. I think having all of those resources in your computer instead of literally having to cart a rolling suitcase around is amazing. So I can't say enough good things about that. We have hybrid class opportunities as well. And personally for myself, I will be partaking in the college's first intake of fast track students. So as of the end of April, I will be finishing my second year. And then as of the beginning of May, I will be a third year student. So I will be graduating almost a full year early, which is an awesome opportunity, not only as a mature student, but also as someone who's very excited to be a nurse. I just get to do that sooner. So there's a lot of really awesome opportunities, not just at Keyano, but to sort of live and work up in the north. So I really encourage you to sort of look at bursaries that are out there, all of the college requirements that have been shared today, and sort of what suits you the best.
Hi, my name is Morgan, and I'm also in the second year at the BSN program at Keyano. But before I went into the registered nurse program, I did the healthcare aid program at Keyano. And I did that because coming out of high school, I graduated from Fort McMurray. I was kind of unsure what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to go in the healthcare world. So I found the healthcare aid program and I took that. And right away, I knew like I wanted to do more with it. So I started my healthcare journey in January of 2022, and I graduated from that in August 2022, and I started in the BSCN program in September of 2022, so right into it. And I have to say, like, doing the health grade program first for me was definitely the best thing I could have done because now I have a great job in the healthcare world and it'll apply to my job as an RN once I graduate as well. So it's been a great experience. And being able to stay at home in the rural has also just been a great experience. And Keyano has a great program for both of them. And I highly recommend doing both programs or just one, whatever you choose.
So now I can share a little bit about programs at Keyano. I didn't make anything fancy like a PowerPoint. It's probably because I've been there for so long. I can speak off the top of my head. So I'll start with our HCA program. We, of course, very similar to everybody else that has spoken. Entrances are pretty much standard across the board. That is a government curriculum. So it went, after I was the coordinator, it went from being 5 months to an 8-month program. And we do have dual intakes. That's kind of what Morgan was referring to. We have a January intake and a fall intake, and we take in about 18 maximum students. So that's quite a few, juggling with BSN and PN and HCA in our small rural community, but we manage. And then in our PM program, we just did a January intake of that program too. So one of the things that we have discovered is that if you have students that fall out of sync, we're catching them now where they can catch up. So we had some students that struggled with some courses in the fall, and they could go right away into first year again in January and pick up where they left off, rather than having that gap of a year. So in the PM program, we take 35 in first year. And then in our second intake, we kept it down to about 18. And then in our BSN program, we take 70, which is quite a big group for our little Fort McMurray hospital. But like I said, we manage. So then you have, of course, we have the four years of that. There's also so Charity talked about early entry, but we're also doing fast tracking. So anybody this is the first year we're doing that, with the third years going into fourth year right away. So they'll be done 6 months early. We also have the IEN program that we just started too. So that's for anybody that's trained elsewhere internationally. So we're just getting that up and running. So we have lots going on at Keyano, and I won't talk too much about entrance and all that kind of stuff because like I said, we're very similar, but lots going on in rural north, Fort McMurray. And one of the other things that we're just getting online with, we're talking to the manager at the Nooney Health Center in Fort Chip. And they're interested in having some of the students go up and share an experience, have some experiences in the north, like far north. So we're going to work with that. And then of course we have our EMR program starting in the fall, and PCP and ACP programs, which also have dual intake. We have lots going on in our health department, our health school. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I know in the package there that Kate was talking about, there is all the information to check out the programs and courses and entrance requirements and everything. So I will thank you again for having us, and thank you to Charity and Morgan for giving up their evening to come and join us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sharon. And thank you, Morgan and Charity. That was really awesome to hear from your perspective. Sharon, I wondered, you mentioned a possible partnership with Fort Chip, but is it just Fort McMurray Hospital that your students, your BSN students do placement at right now?
So for placement students, usually where we look at for final preceptorship is where their home address is. So if they're from, say, Calgary, or we tend not to go out of the province too much because of course the programs are fairly different, but most of the time we will try and place people where their home address is, because that is usually where they will work. So it's a benefit if they can go and do final preceptorship where they reside, then they're, and most people that have taught clinical kind of know this, or preceptorship, that, excuse me, students are then considered orientated to that facility if they've had some kind of an education experience, which is great, because then it makes the institute the institution look good, and the healthcare center is very happy because they don't have to pay to orientate them, right? So they already know what they need to do. So yeah, we do try and do that too.
Well, I'm sure that they would get a well-rounded education in Fort McMurray if that's where they're placed. So, but thank you, ladies, again, and thank you, Sharon. Thank you to all our presenters. So at this point, we will open the floor for any questions. And I know it's a little intimidating, so if you don't want to come off mic or off video, please feel free just to throw your questions in the Q&A or in the chat at this point. I feel like we can filter it now. I'll just point out that Anne has posted a link to their to Northern Lakes College virtual open house, which occurs that's tomorrow, no, on the 7th, a couple days from now. So feel free to activate that link, and I'm sure it'll take you to that registration. Lindsay, I don't know if you can tell me if there is any questions in the Q&A, but I thought I would get us started. I have a question that I think applies to all the schools, so I don't know if maybe each could maybe, if you do have an answer. I'm curious to know if your program's admissions are open for the 2024 school year.
At Portage, ours are open for 2024 already. We have quite a few applicants as of right now. I think we're about 50% full for all three of our intakes at our campuses.
Hi, Kate, it's Anne. We are open as well. Been open since December. We have 85 accepted already for PN, and we have 20 accepted for full-time HCA for September. So we have that much pending, so it's exciting.
So still some open spots though, right, Anne?
Yes, still we'll take 130 first years.
I will say that registration is open for the fall. I think it started today, if I'm not mistaken, or if not, it's coming up soon. And I have no idea about numbers at this point. Haven't looked at that, honestly.
So we are open for applications, and we actually are full for fall intake in the downtown campus. We still have some spots available in the Wetaskiwin deliveries. So yeah.
Hi, everyone from Northwestern Polytechnic. So our applications are open May 1st, and they will close August 14th. And once again, we're a first come, first served basis. So just encouraging all high school students to apply early, and hopefully they're successful. Students that have applied previously and that were unsuccessful, we'll be looking at that date of May 1st. So just keep that on your calendar if you're interested.
And sorry, Nicole, is that just for the BSN program, or is that all of them?
Thanks, Kate. That is for the BSCM program. Nikki Bennett may be able to speak to the PN program.
I'm not clear on, I believe our applications are open now for Fairview, and I don't know the number of applicants they're taking there for the fall semester. I know they're looking at growing that program. For the Grand Prairie campus, I know we have approximately 48 seats with the current intake that we have, and then the next intake will be winter next year, so January.
The first question is, how can I go from being a nurse to a doctor? Is it worth doing, or should I go straight into the courses needed for being a doctor?
Well, you can take your nurse practitioner, so you can sort of do your RN, you can do HCA, LPN, RN, and then nurse practitioner if you want. And then, but I mean, I'm not sure if I don't believe there's really a bridge from, you know, if that's your goal. I mean, it's all that you do have to have a degree in, I believe, sciences to be able to get into medical school. So you would have to sort of just look at the pathway for a doctor, because it would be a little bit different, I think, than your nursing sort of pathway.
There is a bridging program through Athabasca, through the University of Athabasca, if you're interested in taking your nurse practitioner, or doing your master's of nursing if you've taken your registered nurse. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm currently actually taking my master's of nursing through Athabasca. I did my LPN in 2002 with NorQuest, and I did my bridge to RN through Athabasca. Now I'm doing my master's of nursing through Athabasca as well. So there is that path.
So
it's a lot more schooling, but it's like an apprenticeship, and I quite enjoyed the way that I did mine. So it's not for everybody, but there is that sort of bridging that you can do.
Right. And so thank you for that. And a nurse practitioner is different than a physician. However, they do have similar scopes of practice. So if you're looking for more information about that, I would just suggest that you check out the schools online just to see what information they offer. And if you're not finding the information you're looking for, I would just urge you to speak with, your guidance counselor or whomever kind of represents at your school who can help support with the post-secondary information.
Next question. Since most of the colleges are first come, first serve, when is the earliest you can apply? Can you apply in grade 11?
I think overall you probably could apply. However, you would just be under a conditional acceptance until you have those final grade 12 grades in, or grade 12 course grades in. So I'm assuming you could apply, but it really, you would just be under a conditional acceptance until those grades are received.
We do actually have our first under 18 student attempting to go to clinical right now, just an FYI. So it came up I've been there at NorQuest for 15 years. And so we do have our first underage student who is getting ready to go to clinical in May. And so we're just in the process of looking through what that means and if it's a possibility. So ideally, just with the healthcare field, you need to be 18 prior to being able to go into a clinical setting. So that's just something to think about when you are applying, because you can get through your whole first term, but if you get to that clinical, it can potentially be a roadblock for you. So just thinking about that when when your birthday is. So
yeah, and I would just echo, some of the schools mentioned the dual credit programs. Some of the schools call it something different depending on what their partnerships look like, but check with your school administrators to see if that's something that they offer. Do they work with the colleges to offer the HCA dual credit program, for example, and then that could be a great entryway into the profession.
So another question just for the group, what does a day in a life as a nurse look like?
Hi, it's Anne. I've been a nurse. I graduated 37 years ago today. So I've been a nurse basically with my training for 40 years. And as you can see, you get old being a nurse sometimes, but it depends on the day, depends on where you work. And I'm guaranteeing you one thing, every day as a nurse, you will have wins. You will have some wins, no matter how big or how small. You will make somebody's day better because you're in it. And so think about that. If this is it's sometimes a hard job, but it's one of the best professions there ever is. I wouldn't imagine my life doing anything else. So and you can leave dog tired, but you can leave feeling great as well.
Can I just add to that? As I'm not sure how every hospital works, but they do offer shadow days, or like you can shadow for a couple hours to see what a life of a nurse looks like. But from a student's perspective, it is exhausting because you do your clinicals all day and then you have schoolwork as well on top of that. So you have to be really good with your time management, but it's worth it.
I think a super interesting thing about nursing is no matter what your day looks like or how taxing your days become, if they become too much, you always can find a new unit to work on or a new specialty or anything. Like as my path took me from long-term care to emergency, the changes happened because I became tired of those units, or not tired, but very taxed by it. So I think as with any job, you have great days and you have stressful days. We are dealing with people, and we help them in their greatest time of need in a lot of our jobs. So it does become a little bit emotionally taxing, but it's the most rewarding thing I have ever done.
I agree. I think you have to find the place that makes you happy. You have to find the place where you go to work and you enjoy it, even with the stress and even with the some of the sadness. There's always joy in everything that you do, and I think that's something that you have to find. I was a pediatric nurse for 15 years before I've been a nurse for 20 years. And so for about 15 years, I was a peds nurse and I loved it. But once it stopped bringing me that joy, I moved on, so that, because I never wanted to be somewhere that didn't make me happy. So, and it's different every day. Every day is different. And you have to be flexible, adaptable, and and just open to anything.
I think that's a great point. I just want to share as well too, that nursing has so many different specialty practices and areas of practice that if you, I always say to my students, when you've gotten to a place where you're working, like Courtney said, no longer brings you joy, explore other avenues. As someone just threw it, like she just threw in there, there's somewhere for everywhere. I have nothing but fond, wonderful memories of all the experiences I've had working in community health nursing, and no day was the same, no client situation was the same. And just the adaptability and the critical thinking and time management all comes into play, but just the joy of working with people and having the privilege of being able to support someone at any stage in their life, to see them through to reach their health goals is a really rewarding experience. So the avenues of work are boundless, and the opportunities to explore different roles and is again boundless. So nursing's a great field that way, because you don't have to get pigeonholed into one type of nursing. There's lots of different ways you can explore nursing.
There was a question that came in about how much nurses get paid. I'd indicated we were going to answer that live, but I think I will just put a link in the chat for the anonymous participant who asked that question. If you go on the Government of Alberta's ALICE website, they have some great information there with kind of what average wages, average work hours look like for different levels of nursing. So community health nurse to RNs. So I'll put a link to that in the chat so you can explore that, because your starting wage is likely going to be different from when you've been working for 10 or 15 years. So that's going to vary a little bit, but it'll give you a bit of an idea of what that looks like. So Lexi had a question regarding practicums. She said, can you request to go into certain parts of the hospital? I was wanting to be in the NICU and was wondering if that is a possibility.
Or your preceptorship, you usually, for most colleges, I think, I don't know if I speak already, you get 3 choices. You give your 3 most, the choices that you want the most, and then we do our best as a clinical placement team. That's what I oversee, to place the students where they want to be. For practical nurses, you can be in the NICU. I'm sure with the RNs, you can also be in the NICU. So that is something that is exciting. With the PN program, you can be the OR, the ER, the NICU. You can be long-term care, palliative care, oncology, pediatrics, adults, anywhere that you could possibly, your heart's desire, really, with some exceptions, obviously, with scope of practice. But you can request where you'd like to go. There's no guarantees, but we do our best to try and place people close to where they live and as close to what they want as possible.
That's basically the what we follow as well, Courtney. We try to get them their requests. This is not possible. Depends on the HSP net gods, but we do try our best.
One thing I will say is something that we are promoting as a college. You guys are all very rural, whereas Edmonton is very urban. We are promoting rural nursing as much as possible and the exciting opportunities that rural nursing can bring. And so we are reaching out to a lot more rural communities to try and find placements for students, one, to work where they live, and two, for students that have plans to move and want to work rurally. So that is something we're trying to promote and say this is an exciting opportunity. We're promoting it more of a specialty, like we promote our ER and our OR, rather than just saying it's just another area of nursing. We're saying it's more of a specialty because you have to know a little bit of everything, I think, when you work somewhere rural.
What would be the differences in an average workday depending on the field you work in? For example, the difference between working in maternity or working in emergency?
I can speak to some of that. I have only worked a very little bit of acute care and emergency and long-term care. So I'm not sure about the whole maternity thing, but I think it really depends on your unit, depends what you're doing, and time of day, time of year, what's going on. ER days can be very quiet. I hate to use that word, but it can be quiet, or you can have a 10-hour wait and trauma's coming out your ears. So it really just depended. I'm sure every unit is like that. There's busy days and there's slower days. But ultimately, I've never had a shift where I thought, man, I wish something would happen here. So I think it's very depending on your shifts and how rural you are too. That's going to change the acuity of your day as well. And even in those sites that don't deliver babies, you might be delivering a baby that day. It really just depends what's happening in your community. So that's a hard one to answer.
Yeah, emergency and maternity go hand in hand in some of our rural sites. They are the emergency, if that makes sense.
I'm currently doing my preceptorship, and technically I'm supposed to be in L&D, but being in a rural setting, I'm doing L&D and ER. So I get to do both of them. A lot of the ER there's a lot of trauma, and we do also get from like the rural communities and from the reserves that come down on when they're pregnant, or they're towards the end of their pregnancy, and the hospital usually puts them in a hotel for the last like couple of weeks or a few days, and yeah, and then they get transferred and they come to us and we take them to labor and delivery, and then you're there all day or until the baby comes, and then you pass it down to the baby nurse. It's exciting.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. So there are a couple questions that came through in the chat, which have largely been answered, but I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't any open-ended questions there. So one of the questions asked by Gracie was, what sort of shift would you work as a nurse? And I think Jeannie and Nikki both answered this really well. Said nurses typically work 12 or 8-hour shifts with a combination of day shift, evenings, and nights. And Nikki answered that a broad variety of shifts and schedules can be found in nursing. Depending on work locations, you may work 8 or 12-hour shifts or a combination of days, evenings, and nights. And as Emily spoke to earlier, Alberta Health Services does have a shadowing program. I believe it's a 1-day shift where you are able to shadow with a healthcare provider if of your choosing, if you're looking to get more information, to get more insight as to what it looks like for that individual in that hospital or in that setting. So I can provide a link to that service that AHS provides in the student package. And as well, just before we leave here, I will put my contact information in the chat. So if anybody is looking for more information, you can come through me and I can coordinate that out. Oh, holidays, weekends as well. Yes, many holidays you work, but you do get compensated for it. And I believe there was a question related to, just scrolling up here, asking if NorQuest College offered dual credit HCA programming with rural schools at this time. And I do believe Courtney answered that that was a yes. So just FYI for anybody that may have missed that. There was a question about transfers. Is it possible to transfer colleges when you're only partially through your degree? I think that's a really good question. If anybody, there is an answer here by Jeannie, which mentions a website, which it's transferalberta.alberta.ca, which I will also include that link in the student package. But does anybody else want to add anything to that? Have you had students that have transferred? Did it go well? Did it not go so well?
I can't speak to the degree, but I definitely can speak to our PN diploma program. We've had students move out of our program to other colleges, but we've also had students from, I want to say we've had a couple from NorQuest, some from Bow Valley come to us, and we do put them through a process that somebody had talked about. One of the presenters talked about the PLARing process, so prior learning assessment. So we see where you are in your education and what all your courses go through a transfer credit assessment, and we look at the skills that you've obtained to see where you fit into our program, but it absolutely is possible in our diploma program.
Yeah, and I'll just leap kind of off of that saying too, it is definitely possible in our PN program as well too out of NorQuest College. Again, we follow the exact same process that Andrea has laid out, that you submit for prior learning assessment, transfer credit is completed. It's really looking at this specific learning outcomes that are outlined in each course, that we're seeing an alignment of a certain criteria to ensure that content is covered sufficiently if we're transferring courses over and we're offering credit for it. So yeah, we definitely look at prior learning, and we're happy to award credit where we can see that it meets our transfer credit eligibility.
I can also add a little bit to that. Some programs, and I'll talk about Northern Lakes, says you have to complete a certain portion of the program with that college. It used to be 25. I think it's more than that now, 25% with that graduating, that college that you want to graduate with. So that's something to look at if you are looking at transferring from one PSI to another.
If there isn't any other questions, Lindsay, just let me know if there's anything in the Q&A. I just wanted to ask if you're comfortable, you want to come off the presenters today, or the students that are still on the call that presented, what would be the best piece of advice that you would give to these students that are interested in nursing or rural nursing in the next couple of years? What would you tell them to prepare for their first year of either the HCA, the PN, or the LPN or the RN programs?
I would say self-care, and then some like resiliency, that distress and tolerance. You're going to be exposed to a lot of aspects of people's lives and considerations that you might not have encountered before, that people often find quite stressful. So having some of those skills and tools to support you entering into this kind of profession is really important, and it's going to help you get where you want to go and have the ability to really enjoy it.
For me, I say research a little bit on what you're looking for, what you want to do. So do you want, like, what's the difference between the healthcare aide, the RN, and the LPN, so that you know where you feel you want to land. The other thing for me is I think give yourself a break. And when you go into your nursing or your healthcare aide, your RN, your LPN, go in with an open mind, because what you think in the beginning might be completely different than what you come out with halfway through, or what you decide you want to do in the future, and be very open to the possibilities for your learning. And then give yourself a break, because it's hard. The healthcare aide, the nursing, the LPN and the RN program are hard, and you need to give yourself a break, and be open and ask for help. Ask for help. Visit the open houses. Most of our open houses, I think, are virtual. A lot of them will have virtual. So visit all the open houses and see where you feel you fit best.
I can speak to my own personal experience. I actually started as an HCA. I'm not going to say how many years ago, but I never thought I was smart enough to be a nurse. So then I did the PN program, and then we were all PNs. We did the PN access class. They only had one, but they took all PNs into our BSN program. And then I was actually seconded to start teaching after I graduated from my BSN program in 2005. I graduated in 2004. And if you would have asked me then if I thought I'd be an instructor, I would have laughed at you and said, not a ghost of a chance. So now I have a master's and I've applied to start a PhD in the fall. So there's always a path, whichever way you want to go. Sometimes if you think you can't get there, thousands have gone before you and survived. And I say to my students, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
I would probably say self-care, 100%, as Nikki mentioned. And it's also okay to not do well in your classes. I know when you're in high school, your study habits that you had all these years are going to be totally different when you're in a college or university program. It is 100% different. And the first year you're going to be lost because you're not going to know how to study. I highly recommend asking for help. Don't feel stupid. Don't feel dumb. We've all been there. I'm a mature student, and your instructors are going to be your best friends. I highly, highly, highly recommend you establishing a relationship with your instructors, especially during those clinicals, and let them know what your weaknesses are and what your strengths are, because at the end of the day, they really want you to be the best you can be, and they will help you.
Emily, that's awesome that you brought that up. I tell my students all the time, stop fussing about your grades, achieve what you can, but don't get upset when you don't get 90% in these nursing courses or these university transfer courses, because there's so much in these programs, the RN, the PN, it doesn't matter. We have so much information crammed into these programs. How on earth do you have the time to achieve a 90, 95% like you were pulling in high school? So I'm always telling my students that. And then the other thing is, do some shadow days. See what you want to do, see where you want to go, and what nursing looks like to you and what you want it to look like. Because it is a long haul from here. There's so many places to be. It's just important to do some of those shadow days.
That's such great advice from all of you. Thank you so much. And Lindsay, if you want to just read out, there is one final question in the Q&A, and then I think we're going to close it down. So Lindsay, if you want to read that.
Yeah, you bet. So there was just one more question that popped up about travel nurses, and they were just wondering, is that a different program to complete, or is it just similar with an RN, and are they required to complete any extra classes?
I think it's just another type of nurse. It's just another type of job. So you don't have to do anything specific. You may have to take some extra training like ACLS. I haven't taken that, but different kinds of like a higher level BLS, things like that. But there's no extra program that you have to take to do it. And PNs, the travel nursing for PNs has exploded over the last probably 5 years. So PNs, RNs, you can probably even potentially travel within Alberta, I think, to be a healthcare aide, because there's just such a desperate need in all of the different communities for nurses. So it's not anything specific, but it's definitely an opportunity.
Well, thank you. And if no one has anything to add, I am going to shut us down. So I would just like to thank our presenters again so much. I know that this is your personal time, and I just want you to know how much I appreciate you taking the time to come on and share today. That was awesome.